Sunny weather, mushrooms, autumn, all the keywords are here. Put them in the right order. And we're gonna look for mushrooms today. It's very sunny, very beautiful, a bit dry though. Let's see what we'll find. I hope the mushrooms are not too dry, but the landscape is absolutely magnificent. See? Outstanding. Beautiful. All over the tree. How pretty are these little droplets of water on it. See? Beautiful. So we are now dealing with another type of mushrooms that are doing consoles on the wood, like little plates along the wood trunks. They are called polypores in old terms. This is a bit old-fashioned. This one is probably one of the most common. It's Fomitopsis pinicola. Recognize it because first it's very large. Second, it has this border here that is a little bit clearer in color, almost red. And it has the pores that are extremely dense. So this is a very common wood degrader. That is contrary to what you think. It's called pinicola, but it can also be found on other type of trees. So in this case, it's indeed a dead fir, but it can be found on deciduous trees as well. Fomitopsis pinicola. Another polypore species, so species that grows as consoles on wood. You see that it's not very big, it's a few centimeters in diameter or in size, and you have different size, different shapes. But most important is the color. You see, it's slightly blue, grey-blue, and it's called Oligoporus subcaesius. I never remember which one is caesius, which one is subcaesius. Caesius means blue, subcaesius means almost blue, and one is growing on conifers and one on deciduous trees. So here we are under conifers. You see the mycelium of the mushroom behind? That is colonizing the wood. And this is the sporocarp, and if you would look at the sporocarp, like so, you would see pores that are very dense, and a beautiful blue color on top, slightly hairy. There are even more behind, and you see how dark blue it can become. Yeah, with the polypores are much more difficult to identify by smell. They never have really specific smells, pretty rare. This one smells like an old toilet. Yeah, I will keep it anyway. Oligoporus subcaesius. here a very big Amanita rubescens. Like really large. Pretty big. Pretty big. This is an Amanitopsis. Yeah, you can see there is a vulva. So this species is related to the Amanita. It's like an Amanita without ring. It's an Amanitopsis, hence the name. Amanitopsis, very close to Amanita. It has a nice vulva, like a bag here, you can see. And it is very tall. You see the size of the knife here, so it's almost, let's say, 20 centimeters tall. And it has, especially the cap, has a nipple in the middle, even when it's quite open. And it's open very flat. The cap is opening very flat. And the margin is striated a lot. The color is very variable. It can be orange, it can be brown like this, it can be grayish. This species is Amanitopsis vaginata. It's edible when it's cooked properly. And this is the time now for Russula species. This is Russula. We have 3 individuals here. Let's see. Well, one thing that is certain is that it's a Russula. Russula, they have this typical, typical shape, very rounded, very nice stipe, very firm stipe, very firm stature in general, very firm texture in general, and a bit like a piece of chalk. That's Russula. Now, among Russulas, it's very difficult to identify because within a single species they can change color a lot. So we cannot base ourselves only on the color. We have to look at the color of the cap, yes, but not only that, also the color of the gills. That gives us an idea about how the color of the spores and the stipe, and there are colors on the stipe. For example, the fact that the stipe here has some color at the bottom can be interesting. And of course the environment. So here we are under conifer, under spruce. Look at this, yeah, a spruce plantation basically. And voilà, so very likely an acidic soil. And that also gives us some information. Also the margin of the cap, you see that it's costulated, so you see plenty of little bumps. Bon, here, in fact, you couldn't rely also on the smell on some of them. And the taste is also very useful. For Russulas, this one, so interesting point is that indeed it's getting a bit yellow at the bottom of the stipe when you touch it. That the gills are actually white with a little cream color, but important. Here it could be many different species of Russula that have these characteristics. This type of color of the cap, this color of the gills, and the stipe that is like this. Yeah, so the fact that it smells, it has this little tiny apple smell, and the fact that it's under conifers, and the fact that it has this combination of very dark in the center and purple around, so very pretty dark in the center and purple around, makes me think that it's Russula chrombolzii. And the fact that also the stipe has this little bit of a rusty color when it's where it's damaged. Oh putain, Russulas are difficult. Something a little bit easier. This little mushroom that is looking like little trees is called Clavulina cristata. It is very much related to the Clavaria species or Ramaria that we've seen in the previous video. Except this one is completely white. It comes on moss, especially under spruce. We are here in a spruce plantation, and you see this is very much Clavulina cristata. And this species is actually closely in association with the root of the trees, and it helps these trees to take up nutrients. Clavulina cristata is not edible. If you try, like many Ramaria species, related Ramaria species, you will get sick. A good old diarrhea. Okay, I didn't plan to show this one yet because it usually comes later in season. But here I've seen, first of all, so many. And second of all, so beautiful individuals. Especially there. Look at this. Beautiful. The first time I see them so big and so pretty. This is a species that is an ascomycete that is not related at all to the Ramaria that we've seen before, even though it looks the same. It has this little tree-like structure. It's relatively small, never more than 1 or 2 centimeters, and maybe I can even orient it a bit like this. Voilà. And it's doing a little bit the shapes like a horn of a deer, typical. It's very typical, you see. And the white stuff here that you see are spores. You see how the spores are spread when you kick it gently. Otherwise, underneath it is black. You see it at the base of the stipes here. It is black, and it's actually a wood degrader, so it's here degrading the wood. It comes very late in the degradation process when the wood is almost completely destroyed. It's very common on stumps, but you can also find it sometimes, like here, on dead wood, dead branches, or even on wood that is buried in the soil, like this one. This one is really big. Try to see with the spores. Yeah, see the spores all over the place. I will not smell it because it doesn't smell anything, and you will not eat it because it's too small. I don't think anybody tried if it's edible or not, because it's actually, as you saw when you touch it with a knife, it has a very tough texture. Not edible. Xylaria, hypoxylon, an ascomycete. Another polypore. This one is relatively easy to recognize because of all this rusty color and the white margin. You will see a big one here as well. You see. And when I say big, I mean that's again the size of my hand basically. So it's 20 centimeters, it can be even larger than that. It has beautiful pure white pores underneath, very thin pore, and if you touch it like that, this one gets brown immediately. Some people are doing art with this. This is a Ganoderma lipsiense. Ganoderma is a large group of polypores as well that you can find that looks a bit like this. Some of them have a stipe, this one doesn't. One of the most common Ganoderma species, Ganoderma lipsiense.